Hello there, very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Mumbai on the last leg of his India tour to meet leaders of Indian industry and address the India-Israel Business Summit. Netanyahu to also pay homage to 26/11 Mumbai terror attack victims. Terrorism is the mother of all disruption, says External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj at the Raisina Dialogue in Delhi on Wednesday, the concluding day of the geopolitical conference today. GST Council to meet to discuss ways to improve revenue collection, simplifying filing of returns to be considered, announcement on tax concessions and reduction of rates on common use items likely. North India reels under intense cold wave conditions. Kargil is the coldest at -19 degrees. Avalanche warning till today evening for 7 districts in Kashmir. Fog cover continues over Delhi and surrounding areas. And North and South Korea come together in a rare event. Both countries decide to march together under a single unified Korea flag at next month's Winter Olympics in South Korea, agree to field a joint women's ice hockey team. It's day 5 of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to India, and he is in Mumbai today. Netanyahu will begin his day with a pub breakfast with select captains of the industry, including Anand Mahindra, Ajay Piramal, Adi Godrej and Chanda Kochar. He will later address the India-Israel Business Summit at the iconic Taj Hotel in Mumbai. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis is expected to attend the summit. Sources say that a one-on-one meeting between the Israeli Prime Minister and the Maharashtra CM is likely, after which Fadnavis will host a lunch for the Israeli Premier and the visiting delegation. After the lunch, Netanyahu will attend the wreath-laying ceremony at the 26/11 Memorial at Marine Lines and pay tribute to the victims of the 2008 terror attack. He will then visit Nariman House, where he will meet 11-year-old Moshe Holzberg, who was 2 years old when Chabad House in South Mumbai was attacked by terrorists on the night of November 26, 2008. While his parents were gunned down, Moshe survived, and he arrived in Mumbai yesterday from Israel to be part of Netanyahu's Nariman House visit. Netanyahu will also meet around 30 members of the Jewish community at the Taj Hotel. Then in the evening, the Israeli Prime Minister will attend a Shalom Bollywood event. A monthly magazine titled Namaste Shalom will also be launched today to mark Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Mumbai visit. The magazine focuses on bilateral relations between the two friendly nations. Now, on Wednesday, Prime Minister Modi and his Israeli counterpart also inaugurated a startup hub, iCreate Center, at Diodholera village in Ahmedabad. iCreate, or the International Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology, is an institution which mentors budding entrepreneurs and guides them to launch startups. Both the leaders pledged to cooperate in the field of entrepreneurship development.
Let us dream big and turn our ideas into innovation to build a new India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday inaugurated the iCreate Center at Diodholera village in Ahmedabad. Appreciating the presence of Benjamin Netanyahu in Gujarat, Modi said innovation brings the people of two countries together.
जब कुछ वर्ष पहले iCreate को लॉन्च किया था, तो उस समय भी मैंने कहा था कि इजराइल को iCreate से जोड़ना चाहता। मेरा मकसद यही था कि इजराइल के अनुभव का फायदा, उसके स्टार्टअप एनवायरनमेंट का लाभ इस संस्था को, देश के नौजवानों को मिले। इजराइल की टेक्नोलॉजी एवं क्रिएटिविटी पूरे विश्व को प्रभावित करती है।
The Prime Minister further added that iCreate will play an important role in realizing the dream of a new India.
देश में पूरे सिस्टम को इनोवेशन फ्रेंडली बनाने की दिशा में काम कर रहे हैं। हमारा मंत्र है, क्यूरियोसिटी से जन्मे इंटेंट, इंटेंट की ताकत से बने आइडियाज, आइडियाज की ताकत से हो इनोवेशन, और इनोवेशन की ताकत से बने हमारा न्यू इंडिया।
Earlier, the Israeli Prime Minister said in addition to iPads and iPods, the world needs to know about iCreate as well.
I'm delighted to be here at iCreate. The world knows about iPod, they know about iPad. Well, there's one more I that the world needs to know about, iCreate.
The Israeli PM also showered praise on Prime Minister Modi, saying he's doing revolutionary work in changing India.
Prime Minister Modi and I are both very young and very optimistic. We're young in our thinking, optimistic about the future. At iCreate, entrepreneurs come together for mentoring and to raise funds for their ideas. And I was happy to find that some of the iCreate staff are graduates of Israeli training programs.
In an heartwarming gesture, Netanyahu concluded his speech by saying, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Israel.
Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Israel. Thank you, Prime Minister Modi. Thank you all.
The centre is aiming to create a large pool of quality entrepreneurs, besides encouraging entrepreneurship as a career option. The two Prime Ministers also visited an exhibition at the venue and interacted with innovators and entrepreneurs. They also awarded 6 category winners of the India-Israel Innovation Challenge 2017. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed on the use of technology in agriculture. He was speaking after inaugurating the Centre for Excellence for Date Palms in Vadrad in Gujarat along with the Israeli Prime Minister. Praising Israel's booming agricultural sector, Prime Minister Modi said that the country stands out for its innovative techniques in this area. Benjamin Netanyahu also joined the Prime Minister in highlighting the need for organic farming, producing quality output, providing premium training to farmers alongside minimizing wastage. India and Israel have already commenced a 3-year joint program in which 28 centers of excellence are being set up across the country with Israeli cooperation.
The most important thing is what I heard the farmers Nath say, that they are enjoying the benefit of Israeli expertise to make their lives better and richer. This is what we are here for, to make your lives better. And I thank you for this warm friendship.
इस बात से तो बड़ी भांति परिचित है कि इजराइल ने कृषि क्षेत्र में बहुत बड़ी क्रांति की। रेगिस्तान हो, पानी का अभाव हो, बहुत कम जमीन हो, उसके बावजूद भी आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी के द्वारा, वैज्ञानिक प्रयोगों के द्वारा कृषि में कैसे बदलाव लाया जा सकता है, इसमें इजराइल बहुत ही सफल रहा।
The visiting Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu presented a special gift to Prime Minister Modi on Wednesday, the Gal Mobile Water Desalinization and Purification Jeep. Now, the mobile water treatment jeep was dedicated to the people of Suigam village in Banaskantha by Prime Minister Modi in the presence of Netanyahu at the inauguration ceremony of the iCreate Centre. A live demonstration of the desalinization of seawater using the vehicle was also shown during the event via video conferencing. Now, Modi told Netanyahu that the people of India will be thankful to him for the gift. The jeep is set to cost around $111,000. Gal Mobile can purify up to 20,000 litres per day of seawater and 80,000 litres per day of brackish, muddy or contaminated river water compliant with WHO standards. It can be useful during natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, military use in difficult terrain and rural areas to provide drinkable water. Now, today is the concluding day of the geopolitical conference, Rajya dialogue being held in the national capital. At the conference on Wednesday, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj asserted that terrorism is indisputably the mother of all disruptions. Swaraj's message was for those who pursue terrorism as an instrument of convenience. Meanwhile, Army Chief Bipin Rawat also underscored the need to identify nations sponsoring terrorism. Former Afghanistan President Hamid Karzai is among the speakers today.
There is no denying that in response to a combination of
Sponsors of terrorism were the target of the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj's plenary speech at the three-day Rajya Dialogue 2018 on Wednesday. Corresponding with the theme, Managing Disruptive Transitions, Swaraj stressed that terrorism is unarguably the mother of all disruptions, adding that terrorism will not spare its originators and practitioners.
our attitude towards terrorism has evolved in the last few decades. There was a time when it was seen as others' problem or a law and order situation. Not just that, it was also actively utilized as an instrument of statecraft. That time has gone long by.
Swaraj also said the challenge of terrorism has become even more serious in the digital age that had a greater prosperity to radicalization.
We are all now very clear that terrorism anywhere can threaten societies everywhere. The challenge is even more serious in a digital age.
Army Chief General Bipin Rawat voiced concern over the possibility of nuclear and chemical weapons falling into the hands of terrorists, underlining the need to identify nations that have a state-sponsored policy of supporting terrorism. The Army Chief called for curbs on internet and social media to counter terrorism.
But then I think we have to take a call on whether we want a safe and secure environment. We are willing to accept some kind of curbs, at least temporarily, so that the menace of terrorism can be dealt with in a holistic manner.
On Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu inaugurated the Rajya Dialogue 2018 in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The conference will further explore the shifting dynamics within the global order, where old relationships need new directions and emerging partnerships face unprecedented constraints.
External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj talked tough on terrorism and exhorted the global community to enhance cooperation to combat the scourge of terrorism, while strongly reiterating that India condemns terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Reporting from Delhi, with camera person Swaraj, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
And US Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, has said that the UN Security Council should step up pressure on Pakistan to change its behavior. Speaking to the media after returning from a UNSC visit to Afghanistan, Haley said that the Ashraf Ghani government in Afghanistan has asked the world body to step up pressure on Pakistan. She also said that the Afghan government is trying to take steps forward, but Pakistan is thwarting their attempts to get back to normalcy. The Kabul visit of the UN Security Council members came ahead of the Kabul process meeting next month, where the Afghan government is expected to present its strategy for reaching a settlement with the armed opposition. Earlier this month, the US froze nearly $2 billion in security assistance to Pakistan, arguing that Islamabad is not taking any decisive action against terrorists operating from its soil. A BSF Jawan was killed as Pakistani troops violated ceasefire in Arispura sector of Jammu. A border security force Jawan was killed as Pakistani soldiers resorted to ceasefire violation along the line of control in Arispura sector on Thursday. As per sources, shells fired by Pakistan landed in Arnia belt and hit several villages as well. However, the district administration has asked all its officers to remain in the state of highest preparedness in view of continuous ceasefire violations by Pakistan. A quick break here. We'll be back with more national news in a bit. Stay with us.
Today, we will discuss the strategic alliance between India and Israel.
This relationship, which was there, which was actually thriving, has developed much more.
Netanyahu has clearly said the threat from extremist Islam will be countered by both nations together.
There has been a very strong strategic content in the relationship for decades. Now it's out in the open. India has benefited a lot from this partnership.
Rabindranath Tagore was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 for his book Gitanjali. In 1950, he composed the music and lyrics for India's national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. And when Bangladesh became independent in 1971, they chose Tagore's song, Amar Shonar Bangla, as its national anthem. Tagore's life and works have made him a cultural icon, studied the world over, even into the 21st century.
Welcome back. The GST Council will hold its first meeting in 2018 today. The Council is expected to announce tax concessions and reduction of tax rates on several items and services, including household goods, agriculture products, housing sector inputs such as cement and steel. Coming just 2 weeks ahead of the budget, the GST Council is likely to discuss inclusion of real estate under GST and announce the rollout date for the same. It may also announce simplification of return filing process and iron out the issues in the newly rolled out e-way bill mechanism. The meeting comes amid continuous dip in GST revenue collection in the last 2 months. All eyes will be on the markets today after on Wednesday benchmark Sensex soared over 310 points to close above the 35,000 mark for the first time ever, while the broader Nifty too ended at a fresh lifetime high on unabated buying by participants. The 30-share Sensex jumped 310 points to end at a new peak of 35,081, while the broader Nifty surged 88 points to close at a new peak of 10,788. Analysts said that strong gains in banking, IT, FMCG and capital goods stocks helped the index top a new milestone.
A lot of domestic money come towards Indian markets via the mutual fund route, via SIP route into the markets. That's keeping the markets very buoyant. On the international front, you have the Dow Jones doing very well. That is adding to a lot of liquidity. In fact, just a couple of days back, you had Dow Jones cross 26,000, which it did in a record 14 days. So, and last but not the least, you have government policies which are in the right direction as far as corporate India is concerned.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Wednesday addressed the 6th edition of the Think Edu Conclave organized by the New Indian Express in Chennai. He said that a new India cannot be built on a weak foundation.
Stating that India cannot tolerate high levels of illiteracy, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Wednesday said a new India cannot be built on a weak foundation.
Education is a powerful tool that empowers individuals and transforms communities. It can break the vicious cycle of poverty. It can enable a country like India with a large youth population to grow, but if only it can capitalize on its demographic advantage. 65% of Indian population is below 35 years. This is a great demographic dividend to us, but they must be taught the skills.
Addressing the Think Edu Conclave in Chennai, the Vice President said, humanistic, inclusive, harmonious vision given to us by ancestors must be integrated into our education system. He said a resurgent India has to be built on excellence and equity in education.
But Indian civilization is time-tested, is surviving today because we believe in Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu, we believe in Vasudaika Kutumbam. Values, morality are very important. When I was a student, we used to have a moral science. Now only have science without moral. We used to have a PT class. We used to have compulsory NCC, Air Wing or Navy. Then we used to have a gardening class.
The Vice President also said India needs a curriculum that makes learners knowledgeable, skillful and responsible, adding that the higher education system must focus on extending the frontiers of knowledge. Tamil Nadu Fisheries Minister Jayakumar and other eminent personalities in the field of education were present at the conclave. Rajkamal Raw's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Vice President Naidu on Wednesday also said that the fruits of democracy will reach the citizens if we can combine a resolute political win with robust administrative skill. Delivering the valedictory address on leadership at the frontier of tomorrow in Chennai during the 110th annual convention of Indian Officers Association, The Vice President said that good performance should become the norm in life. The Vice President further added that in a rapidly changing world, the administrative apparatus must be innovative, humble, empathetic and objective. Vice President Naidu, along with Tamil Nadu Governor B. Purohit, inaugurated the MMA building at the IOA's 110th Annual Convention in Chennai. At the event, Governor Purohit said that the transparency and efficiency of civil servants helps the country achieve its goals in a defined time.
Effective service delivery deepens the roots of democracy because it ensures that all citizens, especially whose voices are not adequately heard, participate and active in the nation building. Since independence, India has taken giant strides in pursuit of its constitutional goals of economic development with corresponding social justice. There is no doubt that civil administration has been immensely instrumental in this process. Today's administrators has to be skillfully anticipate policy needs, identify the means of implementation, and put in place a system of effective monitoring.
Honesty, transparency, and accountability in the delivery of public services are most essential. It is important that organizations such as the IOA and MMA focus on means and measures that can improve the levels of efficiency in the delivery of public services all over India.
President Nath Kovind conferred the Sangeet Natak Academy Fellowships and Awards for 2016 on Wednesday. These fellowships and awards were given to an eminent group of musicians, dancers and theatre artists at a glittering ceremony at Rashtrapati Bhavan. This year, 4 eminent artists and scholars in the performing arts have been conferred fellowships of the Academy, and 43 artists have received the Academy's awards. The 4 fellowships or Academy Ratna this year were conferred on Arvind Parikh, R. Vedavalli, Ram Gopal Bajaj and Sunil Kothari. On to some weather news now. In severe cold conditions continue to prevail in the northern parts of the country. Jammu and Kashmir is reeling under biting cold. Authorities in Srinagar have issued an avalanche warning for 7 districts of Kashmir till this evening. General public has been asked not to venture in these areas during the warning period. Meanwhile, Kargil town was the coldest place in the state at -19 degrees Celsius. The national capital also remained under the grip of cold, with minimum temperatures settling at 5.6 degrees Celsius, 2 degrees below the season's average. The dense fog in the morning hours in the capital led to cancellation of 18 northbound trains and delayed several others. Intense cold wave conditions persisting in most parts of Himachal Pradesh as well. Minimum temperatures in high-altitude tribal areas hovered between -14 and -20 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, in Uttar Pradesh, cold to severe cold conditions are likely to prevail over the next few days at certain places. Well, on to sports news. And North and South Korea will march together under a single unified Korea flag at next month's Winter Olympics to be held in South Korea. Both nations also agreed to field a joint women's ice hockey team after rare talks at a truce village. These are the first high-level talks between the two Koreas in more than 2 years. The games will take place between the 9th and 27th of February in Pyeongchang in South Korea. Both South Korea's coach and conservative newspapers have expressed concern about the prospect of a united hockey team, saying that it could damage South Korea's chances of winning a medal. Tens of thousands of people are said to have signed online petitions urging President Moon Jae-in to scrap the plan. Japan has also viewed the latest detente with suspicion, saying that the world should not be blinded by Pyongyang's recent charm offensive. The talks follow recent rapid advances in the North's nuclear and conventional weapons programs. In cricket, India lost the second test against South Africa by 135 runs at Centurion on Wednesday. Resuming the overnight score for 35 for 3, India lost Cheteshwar Pujara, Parthiv Patel and Hardik Pandya in the very first hour of the day. Rohit Sharma was the top scorer for the Indians, making 47 runs before Rabada got rid of him. Mohammad Shami scored 28. In fact, South African bowlers were right on top from the start. Debutant Lungi Ngidi was the pick of the bowlers as he took 6 wickets in a 13-over spell. In fact, chasing 287 runs to win, India were bundled out for just 151 runs.
shown.
When we went in, I saw the pitch, I told the guys it looks very different from what we saw before toss. And then, we thought we have our best chance to put up some runs on the board. And we should have capitalized. We were in a position to get the lead also at one stage. If we could have had a big partnership, but we failed to convert that again. And that's something that, we have let ourselves down with from the first game into the second game as well.
Last 5 days, it took a lot of hard work. This was one of the harder test matches in terms of you had to put a lot in. Bowling was tough, batting was tough. But over the 5 days, I thought we were on top pretty much most of the time. And then to wrap it up today like the way we did, and I thought especially in the field, we were amazing. So the boys were keen to wrap it up pretty quickly.
Indian men's hockey team will face Belgium in their second match of the Four Nations Invitational Tournament in New Zealand's Tauranga today. On Wednesday, the Indian team thrashed Japan 6-0 in their opening match. Rupinder, Vivek, Dilpreet Singh and Harmanpreet Singh scored in India's win. India will also play with New Zealand in the ongoing separate 5-day series. And in some news coming in from the Australian Open, Australian player Daria Gavrilova lost to Belgian Elise Mertens 5-7, 3-6. Gavrilova will now face Daria Kasatkina of Russia. Meanwhile, in the men's singles events, home favourite Nick Kyrgios beat Serbian Viktor Troicki to move into the third round. 17th seeded Kyrgios beat Troicki 7-5, 6-4, 7-6 and will now next face Joe Wilfried Tsonga of France. In another match, Bulgaria's Grigor Dimitrov beat American Mackenzie McDonald 4-6, 6-2, 6-4, love 6, 8-6 to book his place in the next round. That's it on the Breakfast News. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good day ahead.